Lots of great news for you today for the Chicago Bears. In fact, I've got a double dose of great news just before this Minnesota Vikings game. What's up? This is Sports Talk Bears. I am Sean. So glad that you're here. And the first thing I want to cover is the fact that the Bears are getting closer to the return of really their top defensive player. The player that I'm talking about is Pro Bowl cornerback Jaylon Johnson. More on that. Before I do, hey, who is your favorite player on this defense? Let me know in the comments. And better yet, which player is going to make the big play on what I am saying is going to be a win against the Minnesota Vikings? Is it going to be a key interception by Jaquan Brisker? Is it going to be a key sack by Austin Booker? You guys let me know in the comments and we'll chop it up. So let's first get to what head coach Ben Johnson had to say. He just announced on Friday that the Bears have opened up this 21-day practice window. He's coming off injured reserve, and this is a player that's been out since early September, and he's been so missed. The great thing is that he opted for surgery on the core muscle injury that he had. Really good decision because now he is getting ready to come back, and the Bears actually have something to play for. Never thought we'd be in this position. The Bears are tied with the Detroit Lions, and if the Bears can beat the Minnesota Vikings this week, I think they will, and the Lions lose to Philly, I think that will happen, you will look at our Chicago Bears being in first place. And the reason for the tiebreaker between the Lions and the Bears is that the Lions have actually beaten someone within this division. Let's take care of that on Sunday. So more on Jaylon Johnson as I continue in this video. But what I really want to talk about is what's going on in Minnesota heading into this lineup. There's going to be some welcome absences when looking on the other side of the ball if you're the Bears. And the great thing about it is that it's two starting players and both absences. They affect the offense and the defense. The first player I want to talk about is Jonathan Grenard. He's their edge. Head coach Kevin O'Connell, he announced that Jonathan Grenard and Ryan Kelly, their starting center, both players would be the only two players on the purple side who would enter this game against Chicago with an injury designation, and the injury designation is out. Grenard is out with a shoulder injury, and he's their top rusher. And if you think back to last year, in the two games that the Bears played the Vikings, man, he was a menace. He had 3 sacks and 5 tackles for a loss. Really the main source of disruption along the Minnesota Vikings defensive line. He's a welcome absence. And then you're looking at center Ryan Kelly. He had a pretty good week of practice. He's been IR, but the plan was to get him back rolling, but he is not going to play. If you look at Grenard, he's really the center of what Brian Flores is wanting to do with this defense. I mean, his scheme allows for versatility for a lot of players, but Grenard is there to primarily focus on pressuring the quarterback, maintaining that edge against the run, and the 28-year-old, he's a little off on stats this year. I think it's mostly due to injuries, but man, he is still a menace. 2 sacks this season along with 31 tackles, 18 quarterback pressures, 9 quarterback hurries, and 1 forced fumble. That's per PFF so far this year. And then you're looking at the starting Vikings center. I mean, he's on injured reserve. His 21-day practice window had been open. There was a lot of hope that he was going to play, but he is still battling that concussion, I believe. So what does that mean? That means another starter at center. Michael Juergens. Kelly, he was the Colts free agent, really sought after. The Bears were kicking the tires on him when they were looking for a center in the offseason. Instead, Drew Dahlman came into town. Praise, very good choice there. But you're looking at Juergens. He's a 2024 draft pick. He started in the place of Kelly at center, including last week. Last week, the Vikings, they had 8 false starts. Yes, 8 false starts. I mean, when a Bears fan is saying, wow, that's a lot of false starts, not good. I think they're really going to feel Juergens being in at center as the leader of this offensive line as opposed to Kelly. So that's a huge loss. And also, Grenard is a huge loss. So the Vikings instead are going to have to plug in Dallas Turner in his place. Dallas Turner, he was their first-round pick in 2024. He has only 4.5 career sacks, only 1.5 this year. No other injury concerns for the Vikings besides quarterback J.J. McCarthy. He's been wearing a bandage on his throwing hand all week. He's listed as full go, and he hurt his hand. He hit a Ravens player helmet after he threw last week. So that's it for the Minnesota side. Thanks for bearing with me. I am recovering from the dreaded man cold. That means I've been on the brink of death for the last week. So I'm getting better now. Let's talk a little more about Jalen Johnson. And maybe, just maybe, it's best just to go on what Ben Johnson has to say. And it's really encouraging. We'll see how long it'll take to get him back in shape, but I think he's in a good spot right now. I think being out on the grass is going to be a good thing for him. And the Bears, they haven't fielded their starting secondary even for one game this season. So many injuries. Nickel corner Kyler Gordon, he's been limited to only 2 games this year. The hamstring injury forced him to miss most of training camp and Chicago's first 4 games. He's been in and out. Gordon was placed on IR at the end of week 7 with the calf injury, eligible to return as soon as next Sunday. And that comes at a perfect time. The Bears are hosting the Steelers. Ben Johnson, he also reminded us that he believes that Gordon's injury is of the short-term variety, that his return will come hopefully in the near future. So what'd the Bears do? Such a good move, and I want to mention this in every single video because this is such a good move. I love this player. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he's been playing that nickel in Gordon's stead in 2 games. He's had 3 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. So when you're looking at the Bears getting this full iteration of this secondary back, where is Gardner-Johnson going to play? Where is Kyler Gordon going to play? You're going to have 2 major chess pieces to move around the board. And after the Steelers game in week 12, the Bears play defending Super Bowl champion Philly on November 28th. Would love to have these players back for this, but then it gets kind of crazy. I'm talking about 2 meetings with the Packers in a 3-week stretch, and then we travel to San Francisco after Christmas. San Francisco isn't as scary as they once were, and then we're going to end the season with the Detroit Lions at home, week 18. Cannot wait, but this schedule is getting super serious. So Johnson and Gordon, they are going to come back soon, and the Bears have also been without linebacker TJ Edwards in 4 games this season. As you know, he had surgery last week to prepare a broken hand. He's going to play with a cast on his hand. He's going to be able to play really soon. He's ruled out at Minnesota, but he's expected to play probably the next week. And this is what Ben Johnson had to say. We could potentially have some reinforcements coming between when we get TJ back, when we get Jalen back, when we get Kyler back. And those 3 guys going into the season, you had a lot of hopes for what they could do. And I certainly had a tremendous amount of respect for all 3 of these guys competing against them the last few years. I'll be excited when we get all 3 back on the field. We have Austin Booker in place. We have Amen is back. And they came in towards the end, well, at the very end of their injured reserve windows, the 21-day practice windows. We could very well see that being done again with Jalen Johnson and with Kyler Gordon. We're just going to have to wait and see. So the absolute latest that Johnson could be activated to the 53 would be December 5th. And that's 2 days before the Bears face the Packers in Green Bay. So much to be excited about. I cannot wait for this Minnesota Vikings rematch. I think the Bears are going to dominate. Let me know in the comments what defensive player you think is going to dominate, and we'll chop it up and have some fun. Bear down. I'll see you later in the day today when I post. I'll see you in the morning on Sunday when I post, and we will enjoy that game at the early window on Sunday. See ya. Bear down.